Hello, welcome back to the late night double feature picture show. So as I film this, today is Tuesday, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. Um, so I thought I'd do a little short video about Thanksgiving holiday movie viewing. And when I say Thanksgiving holiday movie viewing, I'm not necessarily talking about Thanksgiving films because I don't think there's a ton of them out there. There's a few, but not a ton. So, yeah, I thought I'd do a short video about Thanksgiving and the films, especially of my youth. So, as you can tell by my gray beard and my grizzled visage, that I'm a bit of an older guy. So, I go back to being a kid in the late 60s and into the 70s. And, back then, before cable TV, we didn't have a ton of options in terms of what we were watching at any time. Obviously, Thanksgiving, there was football on. Yes, even way back then, there was football on Thanksgiving Day. But one of the yearly traditions, and I'm not sure when this stopped. It seemed like it went on for like years and years and years. But one of the traditions was that they would show King Kong on Thanksgiving. So actually, it was kind of like Large Ape Day, because what we would get would be King Kong, Mighty Joe Young, and even Son of Kong we would get sometimes. So, these were films that I experienced with my dad, right? So I was a kid, and if the football wasn't particularly interesting, or even if it was, me being a kid, I was more interested in the giant apes than I was the football. We would watch this, and we watched it for years. Like I said, it was kind of a tradition, and I'm not quite sure when it stopped. Obviously, cable TV came along, a lot more options for people, different channels to watch different things. This is, again, going back to pre-cable days when we had 7 or 8 channels to choose from. So, so of those 3 films, I mean, the obvious real classic is King Kong. The work by Willis O'Brien in that movie of stop motion, taking a ape, a gorilla, which was, basically about this big. It had armature inside of it, and then built up over the armature, and that armature would allow Willis O'Brien to move the fingers, the head, the mouth, change facial expression, legs and arms. So, over that armature was laid some, I think it was like latex foam, and then, the fur. Interesting fact, as you watch King Kong, the original King Kong, you'll notice that in a lot of the shots, you'll see King Kong's fur seems to be kind of flexing and moving. And what that really was that's the imprints left behind by Willis O'Brien. As he would, shoot one frame, he'd reach in and go to make an adjustment on the Kong figure, and when he did that, his fingers would move the fur. So when you're watching King Kong and you're seeing King Kong's fur flexing and moving in certain ways, those are kind of literally Willis O'Brien's fingerprints. So, obviously as a kid, I didn't realize the technical aspects of what I was seeing. I just bought into the fantasy, right? This view of this giant ape who's fallen in love with Fay Wray, and who wouldn't? Even as a child, I found Fay Wray quite alluring. So yeah, I fell in love with the fantasy. They go to this island, and Carl Denning's looking to film something spectacular, and he gets more than he bargained for. And then there's the rescue as Kong takes Fay Wray back to his cave, and he's rescued, and Kong gives pursuit. Um, the great scene where the sailors are chasing after Kong, who has Fay Wray, and there's a giant tree log falling across this gap, and they're trying to cross over to get to the other side where King Kong has Fay Wray, and King Kong kind of doubles back and shakes them off the tree, and they fall to their deaths down below. Um, and then obviously the process of them capturing Kong and bringing him back to New York, and everything that happens there. King Kong escaping capture, and getting Fay Wray in his clutches once again, and climbing the Empire State Building, only to meet his death. And of course, the famous line at the end of the film: it wasn't the airplanes that got King Kong; it was the beauty that killed the beast. So yeah, cherish those memories of Thanksgiving with my family, especially my dad. Watching King Kong year in and year out for years. The other two films I mentioned, Mighty Joe Young, has its own charm. Nothing to the extent of King Kong, but a fun, interesting movie. Involves Mighty Joe Young and his relationship to a young girl, and that's a touching film. And of course, Son of Kong, which again, didn't approach anywhere near the greatness of the original Kong, but still a good film, a very interesting film. Now, we spoke of Willis O'Brien. He inspired Ray Harryhausen. So, Ray Harryhausen, as a young boy, saw King Kong and came to understand the process that Willis O'Brien went through to bring that character, King Kong, to life. And of course, it launched Ray Harryhausen's career, which was spectacular in its own right. As a matter of fact, I think he did some work with Willis O'Brien on a couple of films, so he got to work with his mentor. His work, aside from Willis O'Brien, Ray Harryhausen's work, Jason and the Argonauts, and the Sinbad films, and 20 Million Miles to Earth, and It Came from Beneath the Sea, and you can go on and on and on. Just amazing work, inspired by Willis O'Brien's work and the original King Kong. So anyway, interested to know what your Thanksgiving traditions might have been, either in the past or currently. Right now, I don't really have a Thanksgiving tradition. I kind of, it's post Halloween, so I'm kind of horror movied out. Although, am I ever really horror movied out? Not really. And of course, holiday films, there's Christmas movies. I do Christmas movies, although I'm not as fanatical as some people are about them. So on Thanksgiving, if I'm not watching football, I'll just pop in, whatever hits my fancy. So anyway, if you come across this video, and if you have Thanksgiving traditions of film watching, either from the past when you were a child or current, please drop a comment down below. I'd like to have a discussion with you about what it is you've seen and what you've enjoyed during the Thanksgiving holiday. So anyway, thanks again for coming and finding me at the Late Night Double Feature Picture Show. If you found this video and you enjoyed it, please give it a like, and give us a subscribe, as we're trying to grow the channel. And until next time, be good.